Hello everyone, how you guys doing? I've made a huge mistake. I've been streaming on Twitch for so long over the last little while, and Twitch kind of just does things automatically. You hit the stream button and it just starts streaming. And I totally forgot that on YouTube, you have to hit the go live button. Can you believe that? I've just been streaming to myself for the last 30 minutes, wondering why you guys have not been responding. Ay, 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 I cannot believe it. If it's not one thing, it's another. So, welcome to the show, everyone. My name is Michael. I'm your lecturer for today. Drop me a line to make sure that you guys are seeing me and hearing me okay. I'd love to know that everything is okay. I feel terrible now. I've done this whole show already on my own, wondering why no one was responding to me. And, that explains it. It explains it quite a bit. I'm wondering if I should jump onto Moodle really quickly and send everyone a message, because I just feel so absolutely terrible about everything. Oh, but yeah, I don't know. No one was responding in the comments. No one was asking what's going on. So I didn't double check everything. And it's been so long since I've been on YouTube. All right. Thank you, Noah, for letting me know that I'm loud and clear. I've played Hungry Birds all by myself now, and I could have been doing it with you guys, all because I didn't press the go live button. This is totally ridiculous. It's good to hear from you as well, Ryan. Thank you. It's a beautiful plant. It's a digital one. I can't keep any plants alive, I'll be honest. We plant plants outside. We have them in flower pots at home. Everything dies. But it's a nice plant. All right. So I feel absolutely terrible. I was so angry at you guys for not responding while I was playing the game. And you know what? It was my fault. I have to apologize. I feel terrible. I feel absolutely and utterly terrible. All right. So there's a few of you guys in there now. If you guys are in touch with any of your classmates in any kind of way, either through any kind of social media, or maybe if I could ask Ryan and Noah, if you wouldn't mind, would you mind just posting something quickly on Moodle, just to let everyone know? I may try and do that myself. I'll see if I can actually log in as I'm chatting with you guys. But in the meantime, what I'd like you guys to do is download Hungry Birds. So head to the Apple App Store or Google Play and grab Hungry Birds. I'll see if I can put in a message. We've got some more people coming back in, so that's really good. Oh my goodness, everyone who's just popped in, I'm really sorry. It's a total fatal mistake on my end. I don't know, I'm getting too old, I think. Too old for this kind of stuff. So, just to bring that up again, let's grab Hungry Birds, Google Play, App Store, download that, and we'll kind of get things started. So let me open up my game here, and I will end up just closing that, because I ended up playing this game all by myself, because for those of you who just joined us, I forgot to press the little go live button on YouTube. That's ridiculous. I was so stressed out getting everything ready, I totally forgot to end up pressing that button, because I've been streaming on Twitch, and Twitch just does it automatically. You don't have to, you just go live once you hit stream. And I forgot there's this extra step. There's always one thing. It's not one thing, it's another. So let's grab this. Once again, I'm going to see if I can get folks in. I have to log into Moodle. This is always such a difficult thing, especially when you are trying to chat online. All right, so what we're going to be playing is Hungry Birds. I'm going to just jump right in there right now so you guys can see the game itself. And I want you guys to end up adding this class code, BIOS 2500 2020, and that will ensure that all your data that you guys are going to be collecting while we go through the show will be on the figures that we're going to be taking a look in a little bit. So let's see, here's, where am I? Term 2, Evolution in the Modern World. There we go. All right, so we've got a few people coming back in. Thank you. Let me know once you guys have set this up, If you've downloaded it, just hit me a thumbs up, said done, ready. Make sure you hit this class code. I'll do this now as well while we're waiting for some folks to let me know how they're doing. And my fingers are always so big and this iPhone is tiny. So make sure it's all in lowercase, 2020. Oh yeah, what was it again? I forget. 2500 2020. Dang, 2500 2020. All right, I'm going to leave it like that so you guys can see what you need to enter in that while I send a quick message on Moodle. Let's see, and I don't think you can even send a quick message in Moodle. It always takes forever to actually be sent out. So I will just quickly say, join the YouTube live stream. Going now. This is, I guess, the equivalent of me being in my office and forgetting to come to class for 30 minutes. How ridiculous is that? Except I forgot to press a single little button. Oh, let's see. Post can't be empty. Join us. All right, and I can, let's see. I'll quickly say I made a mistake. First time and forgot to press the stream go live button. You guys can probably hear all the clicking of these buttons. These Macs have like the loudest button clicking sounds. It's ridiculous. All right, we've got a few in there. So make sure, please, folks, let me know that you guys have downloaded the app, first thing. The second thing, that you've been able to grab the class code in here and that everything is going okay. So I'm going to hit submit. Oh, first I have to hit done. Then I'm going to hit submit. And then you'll see that little Arludo logo spinning. You got to see that successfully linked to class. If you don't see that, well, then it's not going to collect all the data and aggregate it on our dashboard later on. So I definitely want you guys to let me know that you guys have done that so that I can make sure that everything is going okay. So in Hungry Birds, so while you guys are setting everything up, what I'll do is I'll tell you a little bit about what the game is all about. Thank you, Courtney. I appreciate you letting me know that it's all set. Everyone else, please let me know that you're all set. So in this game, you're a mom or a dad bird. Take your pick. You can be whichever one you want. They look very, very similar in these birds. You're going to be collecting food, and you're going to go back to the nest to be able to feed your offspring. So what this game is going to be all about is the concept of trade-offs. The idea that you have some pool of resources, and you can't use those resources to do everything. You just have a limited amount of resources, and you have to choose how you're going to spend them. So thank you, Noah. Like I said, the idea is you have to choose how you'll end up spending those limited amount of resources. And that's something animals have to do on a daily basis. And even you have to decide on how to do that as well. When you go to the shops, do you end up buying a second case of beer or just that one case and then spend the rest of that money on, good food? Or do you go out and have one or two drinks with some friends, or do you stay home and have more or invite your friends over because drinks are cheaper at home? All these things are daily kinds of trade-offs that we have to make, or decisions we have to make to determine how to spend the resource that we have to maximize, fitness. So in animals, of course, fitness is the ability of offspring, or trying to produce as many offspring as you can for the next generation, right? In those other examples, there are things like happiness and things. So we're not going to worry about fitness in that kind of a sense. So you guys are all ready? So why don't you just start playing right in the game, and I'll chat a little bit longer. If you hit play, once you'll see is you will be given 4 different areas that you can end up visiting. So each of these areas have different amount of food and different types of dangers that you're going to have to end up avoiding to try and collect as much food as you can to bring back to your offspring. So you can start picking anyone you like and start running through. You tap to be able to fly, and you let go for your bird to fall. So it's just like no, I can't remember. What was that one game? Flappy Bird. There we go. So I'm going to go into the city, and I'm going to try and collect as much food as I can. So you got to watch those cats. They're tricky, you know, and this right there is one of our programmers who used to work for me. Oh, geez, the cat got me. Michelle was doing the breakdancing spin. So we actually ended up putting ourselves in this game. This is the only game we've actually done that with. You'd think we'd be able to do that more often. So now you want to tap to be able to feed your offspring. So I only ended up collecting 11 bugs because I had more, but the cat got me and ended up dropping a whole bunch of food. So I don't have very much food left, but I will feed some of these offspring, and you guys do the same. So as the targeting reticle moves around, you can select where you want your food to be dropped by tapping on the screen. It says don't forget to keep some food for yourself. You can decide what you want to do. Do you want to feed your offspring, or do you want to feed yourself? Again, these are some of the trade-offs that animals have to make, and that you guys have to make in this game as well. So I'm going to start searching for food again, and I'm going to go to the forest. It's a nice calming little area. We've got all these birds. There's Matt, who's one of my other programmers, swinging along the jungle like Matt loves to do. So there we go. I just avoided him so stylishly. Now, and I grabbed one of the food items from that bird. Oh, these guys are nice and slow, so I can avoid them. Yeah, they've got nothing on me. I can't remember what bird we modeled, what species of bird we actually modeled this game on. It's a European something. It'll come to me as we go along. Oh, there was Matt hiding behind a tree. I got a lot of bugs, so I'm going to head back to the nest. Because if you head back to the nest, you keep all your food. But if you get killed or knocked by something, you end up losing about half of them. And you can see how incredibly sad my offspring are. Let me know how you guys are doing, and if your offspring are as sad as mine. So I'll try and feed these two on the left here, see how they're doing, and then I will, oof, they are so sad. Look at that. I didn't even know bills can get into that sad kind of way. So Andrew designed all of these, and he's done a pretty good job at making them, you know, evoking a little bit of emotion from you players as we go along. You can see now they're starting to be a little bit happier. It's great. You know, they're begging for food like they still do, but they're not as sad. So let's see if we can get these guys in the right in that same kind of emotion. God, oof, that one on the bottom right is so sad. Oof, look how sad that face is. My goodness. So, how are you guys doing on your end? I want to see how much food you're collecting. If anyone's beaten me on 61, I've actually got quite a bit of food, so I'll be a little bit more giving. Oh, now they're so happy. Look at them. Look at those happy little faces and eyes. And I'll keep a little bit of food for myself. All right. Okay, I'm at 100. Man, I collected a lot of nestlings. I think a lot of food in that last level. I think we may actually end up having to make this game a little bit more difficult. But you guys will have to let me know how you guys are doing. I want to know. I've actually played this game quite a bit, so I've gotten decent at it. But I'm curious at how all of you guys are doing, if we have to ramp up the difficulty level on this game a little bit. So I'm going to go to the ocean, which is one of my least favorite areas, but we'll see how we end up doing. So now that one is me kite surfing, because we all know how much I love it. Look out! And that diving bird gets me every single time. I still can't avoid it. So, oof, and I only finished with 5 bugs. That happiness is fleeting. Look how sad that one in the bottom left is. So sad. So let me know how you guys are doing, and how how happy and sad your little nestlings are relative to mine. So I'm gonna hit this one more time. Go to the forest because I like it there. It's nice and calm. A lot of people have trouble avoiding the trees here. Remember, if you're in the forest, you don't want to hit those really bright green trees. If they're kind of see-through, they're safe. But the bright green ones are the ones you want to avoid. Yeah, I'm doing so well on this level. Oh, and I just hit a tree. Now, I had 33 bugs, and now I have 23. You win some, you lose some. And now all my nestlings are sad again. Let's see if I can make them happy. Let's see how we end up doing. Oof, I'm going to run out of food real fast. Let's see. Oh, man, they are so sad looking. All right, let's see how we do. So, not so well for me. I'm looking like I have some very sad kind of offspring. I'm curious on how you guys are doing. Let's see. Now I'm wondering, so I've picked the city, I've picked the ocean. Let's go into the mountains, because I haven't done that one yet. You guys can pick whatever you guys like. And I should not have stolen that. Oh, I'm in trouble. Oh, got out of there fast enough. You got to watch some of these individuals. They're a little bit aggro. Let's see. I did not have much. I did not collect enough food there. I'm going to go back to the city. I seem to do well in the city. Also, avoid the cats. I'm curious, how many of you guys have cats at home? And how many of you guys actually ended up getting a pet during this pandemic? That was apparently really common. I guess people needed someone to keep them company at home. But man, things are too busy. I can't have a pet around. We dog sit every once in a while, and man, that's already enough work. Oh, almost hit that sign. There goes Michelle breakdancing again. Look at this cat always trying to catch me. And I can't remember if these guys are city birds. They're slow. Too much food around all the trash cans. Ooh, so many signs. Cats. Oh no. Yes, look at that skill. I squeezed in there. Right between that car and that sign. All right, I better go before I totally get killed. All right, let's see. Some sad nestlings. Man. How are you guys doing? Drop me a line and let me know how happy or sad your nestlings are looking and how you guys are doing in the game. And if you guys have actually finished one of the rounds, I'll take a quick peek and see if I can see how those data are looking. Let's see. Okay, we've got a little bit of variation. That's nice. Looking good. Oh, my guys are so sad. Jeez. Yesterday, I wanted to actually email all of you out there and ask you to play this once before we played today, and then we could have played a second game. But we'll see if we can get another quick game going after this. I'm curious. So if you guys have finished your one level, play it one more time and see if you can beat your high score or the number of offspring that you end up having survive at the end of the game. So this is now the third time I've played because, of course, I played the game twice by myself, not knowing that I wasn't streaming. So let's see how my nestlings are doing. Got 4 of them in there. Let's see how many of them end up coming back from the jump of death, it seems, for many of them. 1, yes. All right, 2. All right, 3. Oh, yes. I finally have done better, and I survived. So I have done incredibly well. I'm curious how you guys have done. So let me know if you guys have finished one season and whether you guys have actually survived and made it to the second breeding season. So I'm going to jump into that next season. There we go. Summer, fall, winter, spring, and here we are back again 1 year later. I have a nest full of eggs that end up hatching and a bunch of chicks that need my love once again. So we'll see how we do. Let me know how you guys have done and what levels that you guys preferred, because I'm really curious to find out which level you guys preferred and how many offspring you had survive. and if anyone has gotten to 4, like I have, or if everyone is still just on a few offspring. Because it depends on how you feed them, depends on how much food you end up bringing back from the nest, right? So, with the questions like these, we can start asking, well, when are trade-offs more severe? All right, because if you've got a pool of resources, you can invest them into a number of traits, right? But if that pool of resources is really, really small, I'll jump in and get a little bit bigger right now. If that pool of resources is really, really tiny, what happens to the types of decisions that you end up having to make about how you use those resources? And how does that compare to when those pool of resources is huge, right? If you have an enormous amount of resources, what kind of decisions do you have to make then? And how do you think individuals that are distributing those resources to maximize their fitness? Are the decisions, for example, when you have a large pool of resources, are those decisions more difficult to make, or are they easier to make? Do you have to make more decisions or fewer decisions, right? So I want you guys to think about that a little bit. Let me know what you think as well. Oh man, only one survivor, Noah. I'm sorry, brother. That's harsh. The cats are tough. The cats are tough because that's what cats do in real life. There's actually a lot of studies out there that demonstrate that cats end up killing a lot of nature just kind of for the fun of it. So if you do have cats, leave them indoors. But anyway, yeah, no, I'm sorry. Play it one more time. Let's see if you can do a little bit better. I'll play it as well one more time. We'll see if I can do a little bit better because I'm still alive on this season. So we'll see how we actually end up doing. The rest of you folks, Aya, if you're still around, Ryan, Courtney, let me know how you guys are doing and how well you fared and how many offspring that you end up having survived. We'll play one more round really quickly. And let's see. Oh, I need to get into here. And see if I can finish off with a record high. I don't think I've actually had more than 4 offspring ever in this game. Never mind in one go. So I'm going to hit back in the cats because the city's been good to me. Oh, I wasn't looking there for a second because I looked up at the camera. There's Michelle dancing away. I think I hit the car. I was a bit too confident. Ryan, just 2. Not bad. It's a 50%. It's not bad. I'm guessing, Ryan and Noah, that you guys, didn't end up surviving either. So probably my guess is not. If you only had 1 or 2, so I will try and feed these nestlings really quickly this time, and be a little bit less picky and see what ends up happening as a strategy. So I'm going to go back into the mountains. It's hard to read your message, Aya. I'm going to check it out in a second. Oh, because I can't. Oh, the windmill. Oh, I got too confident again. Let's see. I've only had 1 survive twice. Oh, Aya, I'm sorry. That's terrible. So maybe we shouldn't make this game any harder because it sounds like you guys are actually finding this hard enough. I think I may just... No. You know what? Anything comes with practice, Aya. And you know what? Let's be honest. If you're good at this game, it doesn't mean you're going to be a really good parent. So I wouldn't stress out too much. So let's see if I'm going to feed these guys really quickly. Let's see if I can get through some of these areas. The forest. I'm going to see if I can do a little bit better. Yeah, these are the slow birds. That's right. So I can steal the food from them birds, and I'll be A-okay. No threat to me. Oh, I missed that one. Oh, the green tree. See, I'm getting a little bit too cocky now because I got 4. Now I think I can do it again. Look, I own 16 bugs. That's not enough for everyone to be happy. I'm going to start being a little bit more picky. I'm going to feed that one in the upper left. Oh, he looks so sad. Oh, wrong one. Okay, that one's leveled up. There we go. Oof. Oof, so sad looking. God. All right, let's see how we do. Courtney, you had 2 survivors. So, you guys all did about the same. So we'll take a look at the data in a little bit. Oh, the ocean. I shouldn't have picked the ocean. These diving birds always get me. You just got to go above them. That's the secret. But I always am too low and I can't get there fast enough. And I can't remember if these ones, oh no, they're chasey fast. Did I get away in time? 18, 12. No, I lost some birds. I lost some insects. So also seems, I think you guys need to be leaving the levels by pressing that nest button before you get killed, because I have a feeling that's where you end up losing most of the food that you guys have ended up collecting. And I think I've got one more level, or is that it? Yeah, no, 2 more levels. I'm gonna go back to the city because that's where I've been really kind of successful in this round. Although I haven't been doing as well as I did the first time I played. Or I should say the second time, because let's be honest, I've now played this 4 times today in the last hour. All because I forgot to press the go live button on YouTube. So I appreciate you guys being interactive on YouTube. It makes me very happy. A cat. Because I was really sad earlier when I was just talking to myself, thinking I was talking to you guys, and not realizing that I wasn't. We all make mistakes. Some of us make bigger mistakes than others. But anyway, you're here now, and thank you very much. So we did lose a few people, but I will let them know on Moodle, and we can have a conversation about the data there. So I'm going to last mountains trip. I think these ones are the fast birds. I want to avoid them and just collect a little bit of food to see if I can get these guys to end up surviving. So I'm going to bring up that question that I brought up earlier is, so how do you think the amount of resources that you end up having will end up affecting how you distribute those resources? So this is kind of a, oops, I think that was Tawny in that plane. So if I have a lot of resources, do you think that the decisions that I have to make about how to distribute those are easier or more difficult? Because remember, I have a lot of resources, and that's of course relative to when I have, let's say, 50% of those resources. What kind of, are the decisions more difficult? I'm going to go home in the nest. Are the decisions more difficult when you have fewer resources or more resources, right? And that should give you an idea of how individuals are trading off and what that means for traits. So I finally managed to have my bird and 3 chicks survive. Finally, Aya, Faith, I knew it. I knew you could do it. I knew you had it in you. So, all right. So I'm going to feed these guys and gals in my nest, and we'll see how many of these individuals. And I didn't keep any food for myself this time because my kids are more important than I am in this round. That's it. That's how I roll. All right. So remember, now we have a little bit of resources or we have a lot of resources. And we have to make decisions about how to invest those resources into different traits. And we can start thinking about which situation is more difficult. Oof, only 2 this time. And there I go. Yikes. All right. So I'll take a look at the data. I'll refresh that, and I'll be able to bring them up in a little bit. So let's see how things look down here. All right. Things are coming along nicely. So I'll let folks finish off a little bit of that game while I'll chat a little bit more about these trade-offs. So I will make myself a bit bigger so you can see me a little bit better. So now, there's a lot of evolutionary theory surrounding how individuals should invest their resources when they have a limited amount, and how they should invest their resources when they have a lot. And of course, as we learn in this kind of game, resources can be invested in 2 kinds of different ways. In oneself, to kind of ensure survival for an individual, or their offspring, which decreases the likelihood of an individual surviving, but increases the likelihood of offspring surviving. Now, of course, the most important thing, or what selection acts on, is fitness, right? So there are many ways to maximize your fitness. You can do that by having a small number of offspring each year and potentially living a long time, or investing a lot in your offspring and living a short period of time. And now, hopefully we'll see what the data look like here, and we'll be able to start looking at that question to see which strategies work better in this kind of an environment in this game, in this very particular kind of situation. But we can extrapolate these ideas into more general kinds of ideas and theories. So let me know if you guys are still working on a level, and I'll let you guys keep going. I see that we are getting some nice data, which is really cool. So we had some people survive for 3 seasons. Very impressive. And a lot of bugs have been collected by some individuals. Well done. All right. So let's take a look at where we are. So here we can look at the data, and you'll see a little bit of how things actually look. So if we noticed, on the top we've got the frequency of each of the levels that were chosen. On the left, you have your ocean, you have the field, the city, and the mountains. And we have individuals, or all of us have chosen the field and the mountains more often than the city and the ocean. I'm not surprised. I hated the ocean. I'm surprised it got picked as often as it did. But, you know, it was the field and it was the mountains where folks did the best, or selected most. Now, where did people do the best? People found the most resources in the field and the mountains. So you can imagine, in this kind of a scenario, individuals who end up visiting the field or the mountains more often would end up collecting more food and would have greater resources than individuals living in cities or in the ocean. So here is a real kind of example of why there would be variation in how many resources individuals have access to and can end up using. All right, so we can see that individuals in the field and the mountains have more resources to spend on themselves and their offspring. Now, what I want to hear from you guys is, what do you think that means for their fitness? How do you think living in the field or in the mountains would affect your fitness relative to living in the city or in an ocean? Because in this game, we can make choices of where we're going to actually end up living and where we're going to hunt for food. But in most circumstances, animals live in one area, and that's where they end up living. And often the variation in that environment can lead to variation in individual fitness. So if I ask you guys, who would end up doing better, the individuals in the field and mountains or individuals in the ocean and city, who do you think would fare better? And what do you think that would mean for fitness? Because we'll start looking at those data when we scroll down a little bit further. So I'd love for you guys to try and give me an answer, or at least have a think about what you think that would mean for fitness living in these different environments. Because this is that level of natural selection that we started talking about in the previous game that we played, which is Eat, Pray, Live, right? Because each of these environments have different predators and different rates of survival, and of course, different access to resources, which means that individuals will be investing those resources differently, right? So if we look at some of the results here, we'll look at this one graph, and I'm guessing some of you guys are still playing that second round. If you guys can and finish it off, that would be great, because then we can take a look at some of the data a little bit more. So Karina, greater fitness in fields and mountains because you have more food. And that's exactly right. See, it wasn't a trick question. So you have more resources, so you can invest more of those resources into your fitness. Now, that's assuming that offspring costs the same in all of these environments, and that your survival is the same. And that's a fair assumption to make kind of in this game. But of course, that may vary in different populations in different areas. And you don't have to make as many trade-offs between feeding yourself and feeding the offspring. And that's that one point I was hoping you guys would really end up getting. When you have a bigger pool of resources, you don't have to make as many trade-offs. But when you have a small pool of resources, you have to be much more careful about how you invest those resources to maximize your fitness. So those decisions end up becoming more difficult, right? And that's kind of the hard thing. And that's why resources are always so important. And that's why a lot of evolutionary theory kind of explores condition dependent, this idea of access to resources. Now you can imagine this in humans as well, right? If you have a good paying job, then you end up having more money, you end up buying nicer clothes or a faster car or a bigger house or living in an area where you can have nicer things. You may go out to dinner more often, all relative to individuals who may make less at the job that they end up doing, right? So as humans, we're constantly making trade-offs about how we're investing our resources. And I'm sure by this point you've actually talked about this in classes. Those resources that we end up, or those things we end up investing into with our resources, in some ways can be signals to others about, how well we're performing and potentially what our fitness is like, right? So I'll make myself a little bit bigger really quickly, and then we'll get back into the data one more time. So with humans, you have those same kinds of trade-offs. But, when you are making more money, what do you think that ends up doing to how you end up spending the rest of your money, for example? So when you have more resources, you end up spending those resources to improve your fitness. But what do you guys think about the idea of how the rest of those resources have to be spent? Let me try and ask that in another kind of way. Once you're making a lot of money and you're living in an affluent neighborhood, you have to keep up appearances, right? You have to make sure you're still driving that nice car, that you still have those nice clothes, that your kids go potentially to that private school. So now you have to keep investing those resources to maintain that level of signaling, right? So now, in some way as well, even when you do have more resources, you are limited in how you're able to spend or invest those resources towards fitness-related traits and behaviors. So that's why there's a lot of theory out there that explores the relationship between resource abundance, your ability to gain resources as well, and how you end up spending those resources towards different traits. So a lot of that theory is done in non-human animals, where they explore how individuals invest in weaponry or sexually selected traits. And there's some research starting to explore humans in that area as well, which is kind of interesting. So we'll go back into the data really quickly. So hopefully that kind of makes sense to everyone. So, please ask any questions that you can or that you want to. And what I'll do is I'll just refresh this again just to see if we have any more data coming in. So here we've got this is your fitness. Oh, you can't see that arrow. So on that y-axis of the second graph is fitness. And fitness in this sense is the number of offspring you end up producing. And on the x-axis, what we have is how many seasons you ended up surviving for. So what do we see in this scenario, in this graph? What's that relationship between how many offspring we produced and how long we survived? So I'd love for you guys to tell me what you see there. Again, this isn't a trick question. I just want to make sure that you guys understand how we're looking at these data and what these data kind of mean. So again, we've got the number of seasons that you end up surviving on the x-axis and the number of offspring that you end up producing in that y-axis. And I want you to tell me, what is that relationship? And I see that I am doing that in the wrong way. Yeah, there we go. What is this relationship when we have a y-axis here and that kind of increasing relationship. What do we call that? And what kind of an assumption can we make about resource abundance, fitness, and survival in the scenario that we've seen in this game? Right? So again, the number of seasons in the x-axis, and I'll keep repeating this until we have some comments in YouTube. And the y-axis is your fitness, right? And what we end up seeing here is that some individuals have 6 offspring, right? That was me. And we have some with 3, some with 2, and some with 1, right? And this is on the bottom we have the seasons that individuals survive. 1 season, 2 seasons, or 3 seasons, and even 4, which was at the end. Right? And what we end up seeing there is exactly, it's a positive correlation. So what we have in this suite of traits is a suite of positively correlated traits. The more food you collect, the longer you survive, and the more offspring that you end up having. So in this scenario, we don't seem to have that trade-off between the number of offspring you produce and your own survival. And it seems to be positively correlated and cumulative over an individual's lifetime, right? So we'll look at that last graph here, and we'll see what we've got here now is, again, fitness and the number of bugs individuals collected throughout the game. And what we see, once again, is we have that kind of positive correlation where individuals that ended up collecting more bugs throughout the game ended up having greater fitness. And we measured fitness solely by the number of offspring they ended up producing. Right? So you can start seeing and start making some hypotheses about what would happen in this population of birds that we were in right here. The idea is that individuals are investing in their offspring, and there's a positive correlation between survival and collecting as much food as you can, or the amount of resources that you can actually collect, and how you invest that into your own survival and the survival of your offspring. And that's all positively correlated. But we can obviously see opportunities where that kind of trade-off ends up existing, where you may not live a long time. So if, for example, you only lived in the city where there are always cats trying to catch you, and you're not doing really, really well, then how should an individual invest their resources in an environment like that? Should they spread all their resources across all their offspring and a little bit to themselves? So should they be a little bit more selfish with the resources? So what kind of strategy do you think would work in an environment where survival is not guaranteed for that next breeding season? Okay, so I'd love for you guys to try and answer that question in the comments. If you know you're not going to survive, should you change how you invest your resources, or should you do it in the same way that you do it if you know that you're going to survive? Right? So is your life expectancy going to alter how you use your resources to maximize your fitness? Okay? And these are the kinds of questions that we explore in life history theory, and try to understand how individuals end up making decisions about how they should invest their resources to maximize some of that fitness. And we can see, even in this game, where an environment that are very dramatically, for example, in the risks or in the availability of food, are going to select for very, very different life history strategies, right? So hopefully that kind of makes sense. I'd love for you guys to let me know if it does. So please drop a line in the comments if you're kind of all clear with that. What I'll do is I'll post these figures into Moodle again, and if you guys like, we can have a little bit of a conversation there. But let me know what you guys think. if you have any questions at all, I'll leave this on for a little bit longer, and then, you know, I'll go to posting these on Moodle. So drop a line if something didn't make sense, or if you need anything kind of cleared up. But on that note, you know, I'll make myself a little bit bigger, and we may call it a day. So once again, everyone, I'm sorry that I ended up messing things up and made you wait for a half hour. But as punishment for me, I ended up playing this game a lot and then ended up talking to myself for about a half hour. So, you know, it wasn't all roses on this end. So I don't want you guys to think that I was out there having fun. I totally made a mistake. So thank you, everyone, and I appreciate you guys coming back to the stream while I got here. Again, if you have any questions, I'm going to throw them up on Moodle in a little bit. Or I'll throw the figures up on Moodle, and then you can ask me any questions that you guys have, and we can kind of continue the conversation there. So, and with that, I'll say I hope you all have a very fantastic day, and enjoy the rest of it. All the best.